Pride Month. Today we're going to be talking about asexual representation, why we need it, what to avoid with it, how to do it right, and more. And don't bother telling me that asexuality doesn't exist or calling me a plant or something like that. I'm just going to delete it. Unless, of course, one of my followers replies with a really great comeback, then I'll leave it up, because those are just funny. Like last year when I was getting hate comments, your replies to them had me cracking up all the time, so thank you. But without further ado, let's get into it. Sup peoples, and welcome back to another video. Last year I did a Pride themed video, so of course this year I decided to do 4 of them. I already have one about trans representation and one about non-binary representation up on my channel, so feel free to check those out after this. There are a lot of elements of those that can be applied to representation across the board, but this week we're talking about the asexual community specifically. If you're not sure precisely what asexuality even is, let me explain. First off, I should say that asexuality is an umbrella term, and as the trevorproject.org reminds us, it exists on a spectrum. Asexual people, also known as ace or aces, may experience little to no sexual attraction and or experience sexual attraction in a non-normative way. Ace people may want to and can form many types of intimate relationships, whether those relationships are romantic, platonic, or other forms of attraction and connection. Within the ace community, there are many ways for people to identify. Like I said, it's an umbrella term. But what unites everybody under that umbrella is that they experience little to no sexual attraction and or experience sexual attraction in a non-normative way, like I said. Now, I'm not entirely sure what my sexuality is just yet, but I do really relate to certain elements of asexuality. So while I'm not like coming out as anything in this video, I will be talking a bit about how learning about asexuality helped me come to terms with certain things about myself. And of course, if you notice me making any mistakes, please point them out in the comments. I have lived only my own experience, and I have no idea if I'm even asexual or not, so it's totally possible I get a few things wrong. Which brings me to my first point. Research. I've already talked about this in my last 2 videos, but it bears repeating. Research is important whether you're part of the community you're writing about or not, because every single experience is different. Think about what I just told you about asexuality. It's an umbrella term, and even more than that, the description of the umbrella term is that people may experience little to no sexual attraction and or experience sexual attraction in a non-normative way. The only way to get more obvious than that is by shouting the words, "Everybody is different!" which is the truth. There is no template for the asexual experience. This is probably why a lot of people find writing representation daunting. They're scared to mess up, so they just don't put it in their story. But you don't need to be asexual to write an asexual character well. It might help, but with research and care, you can do a wonderful job even if you're not a part of the LGBTQIA+ community at all. So why is asexual representation important? To quote my last video, let me tell you a little story. When I was 18, I went on my first date and we hit it off. We went on a few more. I really liked her, I deleted the apps off my phone, and we became official. All of a sudden, I had a girlfriend. Now, I'd never even had a crush on anyone before in my life. Come to think of it, I don't know if I ever have. So this was all new to me. I'm homeschooled, I work from home. The last friend I really had was when I was 12. I had no way to meet people. So dating was like throwing me right into the deep end. Now, I was upfront about this, said I wanted to take stuff slow, that I was still figuring things out, and my girlfriend respected that. I will always appreciate her, and we are still good friends to this day. But once I was in a dating scenario, I realized pretty quickly that I was not feeling the things I thought I was supposed to feel. TV and books had taught me that I was supposed to see this person and feel butterflies, that I was supposed to want to kiss them and maybe even more. I was 18. I should be feeling so many things. Do you hear the way I'm talking? Supposed to, should. That's the way my brain thought. So naturally, when I didn't feel those things, I felt broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. I felt like damaged goods. I was jealous of the people who did feel those things. I was angry and confused and frustrated and depressed. And my girlfriend, to her credit, tried to help me with all of it. But she really got me at one of the low points of my life, and I was not ready to be 100% emotionally open about something that still made me feel so many negative emotions and feel so broken. In the end, we decided to just be friends, because that was all I could offer her in that moment. But during that time, I discovered a lot of stuff about myself, and I discovered the word asexual. Now, I don't know if I identify as asexual, it's complicated. And while in the last video I talked about how coming out as non-binary non-binary was one of the greatest moments of my life, coming to terms with the complicated nature of my sexuality has been far less enjoyable. I still have a lot of those negative and broken feelings about myself and my sexuality. Dating is still a struggle for me, a very active struggle, as I'm currently venturing back into the dating pool and running into similar issues as before. But having the word asexual has helped me. I do think I'm probably somewhere on that spectrum, and I've kind of come out to people, such as my ex, who I talked to about it a lot when we were dating, and who tried to help me figure things out. But I say I'm not coming out as anything in this video because I'm not 100% out to myself yet. Like, I don't fully feel comfortable with the label. So this is kind of me saying, like, this label has helped me. I think it probably fits. But until I feel confident wearing it as a badge of honor, I'm not claiming it fully. Anyway, away from the specifics of what labels I do and don't use, let's get back to why asexual representation is important. You know all those horrible, broken feelings I had? All these supposed tos and shoulds that I had floating around my brain and still kind of do? That's why representation is important. Because growing up, we're shown one way to experience love. And for the people who don't experience it that way, they can be made to feel broken and think there's something wrong with them. It can even make them force themselves to do things that they don't want to. I was very lucky that my first girlfriend asked me for consent every step of the way, and that my parents were supportive and talked to me about how I was feeling and had ingrained in me from a young age that only an enthusiastic yes is a yes. But not everyone is going to be that lucky. Not to make this video incredibly serious, but this is serious. Because there will be people out there who end up in situations where they aren't asked permission first. Or where, even if they are, they feel obligated to say yes because they think that they're supposed to want to do things that they don't. I know that while I never did anything I didn't want to do, I did at times consider it because I thought that if I just did it, maybe I would like it and it would fix me. And all of that is so terrible. It's so awful, and I never want anyone to feel that way. When I write asexual and aromantic representation, which we'll be getting into in the next video, it's different than when I write any other kind of representation because I have stood at that precipice and seen what thinking that you're broken can do to you. And I know that so many people have probably had it even worse than I did, that they weren't surrounded by people who were trying to help them and make sure that every step forward was a good one. I want to live in a world where you turn on the TV and we're shown more than one way to experience love, where we're shown that platonic feelings can be just as important as romantic ones, where we're shown that romantic feelings can exist without sexual ones, where we're shown the myriad different ways to feel sexual feelings, where no one is ever made to feel broken. And when I write asexual representation, that is the world I'm trying to create. In my novel, Project Eros, Barry's experience is modeled very closely on my own, and writing it was like a kind of therapy for me, because it let me turn those emotions into something positive. Because Barry goes through all of this, but he comes out on the other side stronger. He learns to accept and love himself just the way he is. He finds a partner who accepts and loves him just the way he is. He gets a happy ending without having to change himself because he doesn't need to be fixed. So that is why asexual representation is important, because nobody should feel broken. Also, this is the part of the script where I started crying writing it, so there's that. Now that we understand the importance of asexual representation, let's talk about how to write it. If you're watching this video, then I really doubt that you would intentionally write a harmful stereotype into your story, but you might do it accidentally just because they've been in the media you've absorbed over the years. Like I said in the last video, and the one before that, if you always see gay guys being represented as flamboyant, then your brain will automatically go, oh, they're gay, so they must be flamboyant. This is an unintentional bias, but still one that we need to be careful of. So when writing an asexual character, or any character from a marginalized community, be careful not to accidentally lean into any harmful tropes and stereotypes. That's one of the reasons that research I mentioned is so important. Asexual people unfortunately experience quite a lot of erasure and discrimination. They are often dehumanized, told that their asexuality is a mental illness, or treated as though they can't feel love. A lot of people straight up refuse to view asexuality as a real sexual orientation. Here are a few misconceptions to be avoided. First up, asexual people are afraid of or can't have sex. This is false. Ace people are not afraid of sex, and they can have it if they so desire. Just because they don't feel sexual attraction doesn't mean they can't have sex, and it doesn't even mean that they won't enjoy it. Now, this is not me saying that all asexual people want to have sex, or that they should be pressured into it because they might like it. Only an enthusiastic yes is a yes. Consent is sexy. Instead, what it means is that there are some asexual people out there who do like to have a physical relationship, and that does not make them any less asexual. It is a spectrum, everyone is different, and what everyone likes is different. I would personally love to see more asexual characters in media who are proudly asexual, but also do have physical relationships with people. The lack of this representation is actually one of the reasons that I myself struggle with being out as asexual. I have a lot of imposter syndrome and often don't feel asexual enough, which is stupid because there's no such thing as being asexual enough. But I'm not trying to unpack my most personal feelings on the internet right now. Another common misconception is that asexual people can't feel love, can't be in romantic relationships, and can't date, get married, all of that stuff. This is just false. Asexual people might not feel any or much sexual desire, but they can certainly still feel love. That's like implying that the only reason people get married is because the other person is hot. There is a lot more to it than that, or at least I sure hope there is. I actually struggled with this myself at one point. I cared about my girlfriend a lot, but I never told her I loved her because I thought that if I did, I would basically be lying since I didn't feel certain physical feelings, which is just wrong. That's not what love is. Sexual attraction often coincides with romantic attraction for people, but it doesn't have to. The two are not dependent on one another. They can coexist, and often do, but they do not have to. They can exist separate from one another as well. Finally, the good old,
"You just haven't found the right person yet."
and I say good old with a heavy note of sarcasm, by the way, because while it is old, it is not good. After having talked about the first two misconceptions, I'd like to think I don't really have to dive into this one much. There is no right person who will suddenly make you not asexual. The same way that there is no right man who will suddenly make a lesbian not a lesbian. That's just not how it works. Another thing to avoid is making them overly innocent or childlike. Unfortunately, asexual people are infantilized quite a lot. So now that we have all those misconceptions out of the way, how do we write good asexual representation? How about some diversity? A lot of times in media, asexual characters are women, they're shy, and they're white. I would love to see some male or genderqueer asexual characters. How about just diversity in general? Ace characters who are thick or thin, tall or short, introvert or extrovert, every skin tone, every sense of style, every personality. When doing research for this video, I saw a lot of people saying that they wanted asexual characters who make dirty jokes, which ties back into that infantilization point I was making. I've actually experienced this myself, where people think that because you don't want a physical relationship, you A, don't know anything about them and how they work, B, are horrified anytime they're brought up, and C, would never make a dirty joke or even know how to. As a fine enjoyer of memes, I have come across quite a lot that revolve around people's confusion when ace people make dirty jokes. Also cake. If you know, you know. Another thing I saw several people asking for more of was diversity in the characters' attitudes towards sex. They asked for characters who were asexual but had positive feelings about sex. Characters who would never want sex but weren't intimidated by it or afraid of it. They want characters who are asexual but weren't presented as being prude. So once again, what does it all come down to? Don't write an asexual character. Write a character who happens to be asexual. Write them like any other character. Do your research, yes. But if you view asexual as a part of their personality, or a deciding factor in what their personality must be like, then it's going to go wrong because asexual isn't a personality trait. And there is no one type of asexual character, just like there is no one asexual personality. It really is that simple. Just write a good character who happens to be asexual. Because when I was doing the research for these videos, you know what everyone seemed able to agree on? That they want a character who has stuff going on outside of just being queer. They say that they want well fleshed out characters with hobbies and interests and lives that have nothing to do with their identity. They say that they want characters who look like more than just the one stereotypical representation we see most in media. So hopefully all of you can help us bring that into the world, and I hope that this video helps you do so. If there's something that you wish there was more of an asexual representation, comment down below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because next week I'll be talking about how to write a romantic representation. And speaking of representation, if you want to rep both your queer sibs and this channel, I now have a shop. Check it out in the description, as there you can find my Pride Month exclusive Sup Peoples shirts. I will be taking them down on the 1st of July, so make sure to get one before they're gone. I'll see you on the next page. Till then.